I'm going to be going over the Unit 1 for the AP Computer Science A test. So Unit 1 is going to be on primitive types, variables, and data types. In Java, a type is a set of values and like integers and floats, and also sets of operations that you can do on them, like adding them, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. These data types can be categorized in two sections, either primitive or reference. Primitive data types are used, at least in this AP Computer Science course, for numbers and Boolean values. And reference variables or object variables hold a reference to an object, or they hold the memory location to an object. So, the three primitive types that are used in the AP Computer Science test are integers, doubles, and booleans. So, first, I'm using Eclipse IDE. So, in here, we'll create a new Java project, and I'm going to name it primitive, and I'm not going to create a module. Next, go to the source folder, right click, new, and we'll select class. Over here, I'll just write primitive main. Okay, now that we have this class, in Java, if we want to execute print statements to the command terminal, we need to create something called a main method. So the main method you'd have to memorize, and it's public static void main string and then bracket args, open and close squiggly, and you can see it highlighted it, no errors. You can save it, and there's no errors there. So I told you the three types are integer, double, and boolean. So integer stores whole numbers. So an example would be either 3 or -76 or even 1000. Those are all whole numbers. So if we want to create a new integer, we go int, and what we do, we give it a variable name. So we can name it num equals 3. So if I go here, it's fine. The reason it's highlighting it is because I haven't used it yet. So if I go sys out system out.println num, and if I run this, run as Java application, it prints out 3 to the command line. Okay, next. The next one is double. Double is like for decimal numbers. So examples would be 6.3 or -0.9, or even like a number like that. That would work in a double. So I can go double variable name. So I'll say double num. And if you see the way that I named this is called camel case in Java, and this is the proper naming convention for variables and methods. Next, I can go 5.26 or 23, and the next line I can tell it to print double num. When I run this, you can see 3 and then 5.23. And the third one is the boolean. The boolean returns true or false. So if I set a boolean and name the variable bool equals true, and then I tell it true, and then I tell it to print bool, what will happen is it returns true. So those are the three basic primitive data types in Java. So a variable is a piece of a computer's memory that's given a name, a type, and the value that it stores. So the 3 steps for using a variable is to first declare it, which is what we did right over here. So for int, what I first did is I declared it. Then uh, you initialize it, which I've already done here, but technically this is actually how you declare it. So this is declaring. Then to initialize it, I can initialize it to 0, and then you use it, which is going to be over here. So those are the 3 ways to do it. Next, so for variable declaration, what happens is Java sets aside a memory location for storing that value, and it actually dynamically allocates that memory location. And these variables have to be declared before they can be used. So an example for that is over here I have int num, but let's say I want to do, so let's say I delete int num. So if I just go num equals 0, I can't because I haven't technically declared it yet. Only after you declare it, you can initialize it, or you have to declare and initialize it at the same time. So, um, assignment is what stores a value into a variable, and the value can even be an expression, and the variable stores its result. So, what we can do is we have an int num, and we can have an int num2 equals 4, and we'll put num as 1, and we'll delete that. Next, if we want to assign a new variable, int sum equals num plus num2, and we print out the sum. It returns 5 because 1 plus 4 is going to be 5, so it goes into sum. Next, when to use a variable, once a variable is given a value, the variable can be used in different expressions. So you can do something called string concatenation. So whenever you print something to the console, it prints out as a string. So even though this is an integer, we can add a string is the sum to that integer, and we get 5 is the sum. We can also do plus, so we can create a new integer, int sum plus sum2 equals sum plus 5 is the sum plus 5, and what we did, we added 5 to 10, 5 to 5, and we got 10. So that's the sum, the first sum plus 5. Next, the declaration and initialization. A variable can be declared or and initialized in one statement, which I've already done over here. This is the declaration statement, and we initialized it to the number 1. And you can do this for the double, the int, and the boolean. Booleans are always initialized to true. So, assignments use an algebraic equation which stores the value at the right in variable at the left. The right side expression is evaluated first, and then its result is stored in the variable at the left. So, if we have an int x equals 3, and then we do x equals x plus 2, what we have is x is first initialized to 3. Then we have 3 equals 3 plus 2. So this x variable is given 3 plus 2. So that's going to be 5. So if I say print x, we get 5. A shorter way to do this is we can do x plus equals 2. So that also means x equals x plus 2, and we get 5. To declare multiple variables, what we can do is we can have string name1, name2, and name3. So these are all string values, and we did not initialize them, but we've declared it. Next, we can do name1 equals hello, name2 equals hi, name3 equals bye. So we can print those out, and what we get, so name1, name2, and name3. So when we print that out, it prints out hello, hi, and bye. So that's how you initialize multiple variables at once. And another thing is, a variable can only store a value of its own type. So if we say string str equals 2, this will give us a compile error because this is not a string, this is actually an int. So we can turn that into an int. But an int value can actually be stored into a double variable. So if we say double, and what we do, we system out string, what it actually prints out is 2.0 because it converts it into a decimal number. So technically we can just initialize it like that, but Java will convert it for us. And then when you print a variable to the console, there's two ways to do it. You can either do print line, which will print hello, or hello, and then print hello. So what that does, it prints hello to two separate lines. Or we can print one to just the same line. So we get hello, hello, hello. So if we want to print the next one to the same line, it prints it right next to the other one. So on the screen, I'm going to put up a question, and you can pause it and try to solve this, and I'll answer it now. Okay, so between the public static void main and the system out print subtotal, so what I'll actually do is I will the class is actually receipt, but I'm just going to use the class that I already wrote. So it says calculate total owed assuming 8% tax, 15% tip. So first, what we want to do, we want to get our variables in order. So our subtotal is going to be an integer, which is going to equal 38 plus 40 plus 30. You can create this however you want. So then you have double tax will then equal subtotal times 0.8 because that's 8% tax. Next we have our tip, which is also going to be a double, and it's going to be 0.15 because it's going to be our 15% tax. Then we have our total, which is going to be subtotal plus tax plus tip. And then we can system out dot print line all of them, sys out, and we get that. So if we print, oops, um, typo. So there we go. So this is what it should print out. So the Boolean type is it returns true or false. So let's say we have an integer age which equals 22, and we have a Boolean minor which equals age is less than 21. So Boolean loves AP computer science equals true. So when we print out sys out minor and we print out loves AP computer science. So because int age equals 22 and minor can only be true if the age is less than 21, think what would that return? And at the same time we're setting this to true, so what would that return? There, the first one returned true, false, and the second one returned true. Finally, there's certain keywords in Java that you can't use. So if I try to name a variable, so if I try to name this string final equals hello, if you can see, it won't let me because final is a reserved keyword. So final is used to create a constant. So if I create um oh, so int and num equals 1. So this is a final keyword. So if I go num equals 2, it shouldn't let me because I've already created that as a final. If I remove final, then I can rename it to another value. Okay, so that's most of the stuff that we're going to be using. Also on the screen right now, I'll put up some keywords that you're going to have to know, and those are all the reserved keywords in Java. Okay, that's all for chapter 1. I'll see you guys in the next video.